Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in to a crossover edition of Game Over with Game Over Toronto and Vancouver. And it was definitely a much more exciting night for one side of that equation than the other. I'm your host, Zach Payne. I am representing the Toronto side of things. Joined with me is Kaja Antic, representing the Vancouver side of things. And Kaja, how are we doing?
Uh, Hi, Zach. We're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good so far. Um, yeah, Vancouver actually won a game, which is the first game they've won on the road trip, which is kind of insane to think about. Yeah, previously they've gone 0-1 and 2.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the third game in 4 nights for the Canucks. They are on the second half of a back to back, that's for sure.
hmm
They have
hmm
been all the bad vibes lately. I believe
hmm
they've won two. They've won two of their past 10 coming into this game. I think.
4.
Okay, okay.
It might have been 2 in like regulation because I know we have had a couple like OT wins and stuff.
They've been bad. Is the main
Yep.
point of the story.
They
Four
were
game
4,
losing
4 and
streak.
2.
Ugh. And they come into
Yeah.
Toronto and shut out the Leafs. Now, this is the third time the Leafs have been shut out this season, and that's something you would never see before. Like, there was a 3-year stretch where the Leafs never got shut out, and it's been emphatically snapped multiple times this season. And to
You're
start
catching
off
up.
with, I have a fun stat to start us off. This is the second time in Canucks history that they have shut out the Leafs, but it is the first time in Canucks history that they have shut out the Leafs and won the game. In 1971, the Canucks and Leafs had a 0-0 tie. So this is the first shutout that they've won against the Leafs ever, which I figured that they might, like, that these teams would have had more of these kind of instances over the years, but I
Well,
guess
because they
not.
really only, I mean, I'm not sure how it was in the 90s and before then because
Hmm.
wasn't alive, but like nowadays they only play each other twice a year, except for the Canadian division year. And that year the Canucks were just god awful, so there was no way. I thought you were gonna ask me who the goaltender was for that other shutout until
No,
you
no,
said
no.
this is the only one they won because I was like, because we had a stat earlier because Kevin Lankinen got a shutout in Boston against Boston. Um, and yeah, it was he got he got the shutout, and it was like he was the only he was the second Canucks goaltender to do it, and the first was Corey Hirsch. So I thought it was going to be a stat like that. But
No
yeah,
trivia, no
no,
trivia.
no trivia. Okay, okay.
So speaking of Kevin Lankinen, though, how, like, I came into this game was like, okay, Demko's out, you're on your backup goalie, so we should have some pretty terrible goaltending play tonight between Lankinen and Hildeby. Not that he faced that many chances tonight, but this is, I think they said on the broadcast, his fourth shutout of the year.
Yeah, he's definitely stepped up because when the Canucks were headed into this season, they knew Demko wasn't going to be returning until
Mm.
December-ish, give or take. So they were like, okay, we're gonna have Archer Sheloves, who was the savior last year in the playoffs, and they had like, well, Tolopino's probably going to stay down at Abbotsford. They brought in Yuri Patera. They really didn't know what they were going to do, and then Kevin Lankinen comes in and he only wants to sign in Vancouver, and he waits a while, but eventually we get him, and yeah, basically saved the beginning of our season. He's been most, if not all nights, have been completely amazing performances from him. And I mean, it's good to see. Um, but yeah, it's his fourth shutout of the year. So technically he is a backup because Demko played last night, but um yeah, I don't know. He's been pretty good for us while Demko is still working his way back to
So,
his prior form.
yeah, and look, this is not a particularly difficult night for him, in that the Leafs just couldn't generate offense whatsoever. Per natural stat trick, at 5-on-5, the Leafs and Canucks both had terrible nights in this regard, but the Leafs managed 1.57 expected goals the entire game. And in the third period of a game that they were losing, they managed 0.15.
That's
So
rough.
the offense
That's a
was
Canucks
completely.
stat.
Yeah, the Canucks in the third period had 0.16 and 0.15 in the second period. The offense was just not anywhere to be found tonight. So, in what you saw from a Canucks perspective, what did they do well to grind this game to a halt, essentially?
I really have no idea. From a Canucks perspective, it feels like a fluke based on how this team has played as of recently. Like I genuinely am just so shocked that they were able to get the win in Toronto against Toronto as a shutout. Like I understand Hildeby's a net, but also like it's the Leafs. They have one of the best goal scorers of the current generation. In Matthews, they have a lot of offensive firepower. They have the star defenseman in Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Like I thought it was going to be a sorry.
And I
I
thought you
was
were going to
going
say
to
Chris
be
Tanev.
oh right, yeah, you took him from us too. He hasn't been a Canuck in like 5 years. Did an amazing job clogging the neutral zone. Yeah, true. Both teams didn't generate that much offense. I mean, the Canucks had less shots than the Leafs did. But yeah, there wasn't for most of the pressure. It was kind of in the center of the ice.
Yeah, I mean, to say that there was pressure in this game might be a bit of an overstatement because the Canucks goals were deflection, I think was the second one or some sort of like,
It
and
was an own
then
goal, technically.
great own goal. And then
I don't even know who went off of.
there's
Okay,
one,
I'm gonna check.
you find that out. So those three goals happen. I don't like Hildeby wasn't good per se. Like you want him to save the first one 30 seconds in, obviously off of Besser, one of your favorite players, your Pookie. And that like it just I don't know. Hildeby is he's just there to give Joseph Wool a break because Stolars is hurt. I know Sam Stone in the chat is very adamant that Matt Murray should have been in the game. He's been very vocal all season that Matt Murray should be playing more, especially with the goaltending injuries. But Hildeby doesn't play that well, but it doesn't matter because you allow 3 goals. You'd think the Leafs should be able to score 3 goals, but that's been quite a challenge this season in that they just don't really score the way they used to. The Craig Berube style has kind of if you watch for the Canucks fans that are gonna listen and watch this, if you paid any attention to the Leafs and Bruins playoff series last year, that is how the Leafs have played all regular season up to this point. There is no offense, there is no high scoring chances. What happened tonight is typically what happens every night, except they usually are the ones scoring 2 or 3 goals and just winning these low event games. So it's not very encouraging to see. Like obviously when you have so many elite scorers that just do nothing all night. On the other side, it's not like the Canucks big boys really did anything spectacular. I guess they kind of just what you got?
Quinn Hughes.
Quinn Hughes did have a very good game. And defensively
Patterson got an
especially.
assist.
Yep. He also drew a penalty.
He also drew a penalty. He's quite good at that. Brock Besser scored. I don't know if you can count him as a big boy. I mean, to me, he's one of the core, obviously. But like, because the ones in the news right now are Patterson and Miller, it's kind of like brushed away.
And we can get into the Miller and Pedersen stuff in a little bit. I'll make it brief because I know that you've probably been tired of relitigating it over and over. But
it's just like I'm back in high school, honestly.
All the drama.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, look, as an outsider, I just keep hearing like Miller and Pedersen, and I genuinely the way that it's talked about in kind of a broader media context, it's like the Canucks organization is about to like fold because of this. So
yeah.
So we'll ask questions about that later. But shifting back to this game, The Canucks, I don't know. Like, obviously, their big guys get some points. Hughes, I thought, was really good defensively. He had a couple of really nice moments defending in the zone and stopping the cycle, which is something the Leafs really have been good at all season. And some of the other Canucks defensemen were doing a good job of that as well. But it kind of, I don't know, you can tell me if you agree with this or not. It kind of felt like the Canucks won by doing nothing a little bit in this one.
They definitely got lucky. It felt like they got lucky. There were times when I felt like the Leafs were definitely overpowering them. I think the Canucks eked by with, I think, just the weird goal from Hughes. It was 25, I think, that
Connor
it went off
Timmins.
of. Connor Timmins, thank you. I was like, Leafs
Uh,
numbers, I should know
yeah.
this, but yeah, goes off Connor Timmins, I believe. 'Cause he was blocking Brock Besser in front of Hildeby in net. Um, yeah, the early goal from Brock and then later or the third period early goal from Kiefer Sherwood, I think it was just Hildeby not 100% being in the game yet,
Mm-hmm.
or being in the period yet. So they lucked out with that one, and then the Hughes late weird own goal, like I don't want to say that they got through this game on luck because I mean they kind of did, to be honest, because like neither team really did anything
Uh,
substantial.
yeah, to me, the Leafs lost this game. The second they lost this game was when JT Miller, tried to bring it back to the French Revolution and tried to decapitate William Nylander.
Oh my
And
God, yeah.
and the Leafs did nothing. They just let
Mhm.
Miller skate to the box. No one cared. They just stared at Nylander laying on the ice. That was the second the Leafs lost the game because that was the moment where it's like, oh, they just don't have any fight tonight. They don't have any energy.
Mhm.
Nick Robertson in one of the funniest scraps ever with Connor Garland. I think that might have been the most energy I saw out of a Leaf player all night. So that's just not a good sign. Not like it's just, yeah, I don't know. I can't really go too deep into this because there's not much to say other than the Leafs didn't have any energy in this one.
And which is hilarious also when you consider that the Canucks came into this game. They came into Toronto at 2 p.m., 5 hours before puck drop.
And they looked like the better team all night.
Yeah. It's
So, oh,
I'm
this
sorry for your loss.
this has got to be up there with the most embarrassing losses this season for sure, and definitely in a while because, uh, regardless, like the Canucks and Leafs, if you just look at them on paper, I think it's a fair assessment to say that on paper the Leafs should win
Yeah.
at the current moment,
I was
especially
gonna
with.
say,
Oh, good.
sorry. No, I was just gonna say, I thought you were gonna go with one of the most embarrassing Leafs losses of all time, and I was just like,
Don't.
well, I mean, you can't really. It was 4-1 this because like it was
Oh,
0-0. Like, what are you gonna do with that?
that's not even the direction I thought you were going. I thought you were going to bring up a certain Zamboni driver.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's like another thing. I think that stands out on its
Yeah.
own in the tier list.
But this core has had some doozies over the years, which is not a good thing. I don't know if it's just a Toronto thing. Every like once a year, twice a year, they are due for like one truly embarrassing loss, and it's absolutely hilarious the times they choose. Usually, like there's a in 2022 or 2021, the Canadian division, they blew a 5-1 lead to the Sens.
That sounds like I I think that's what the Canucks did on their opening night. I feel like that's what happened against the Flames. I might be wrong though. Um,
I remember that.
yeah.
That was a good time too. But
Oh, for some
so
people.
So yeah, this game just not a good one from the Leafs. I mean, credit to the Canucks for shutting it down for whatever part they played in that, but overall, just a doozy. So with that being said, I need to, if you'll indulge me for a minute, Kaya, as I flip us over to our second segment here, I need to go in on the Leafs for a moment because the Leafs, despite the fact that before Thursday they were on a 5-game win streak, they are first in the division right now by multiple points. This is not usually like if you had looked at this a couple of years ago, I'd be ecstatic. Since December 1st, the Toronto Maple Leafs are 22nd in shot attempts per share per game with 47.9%. They are 22nd in expected goals percentage with 48. And they are, I put this in there, they are 9th in PDO with a 1.13. The Leafs have been getting away with not playing very good hockey. Now, part of that is they kind of game the system a little bit with low event games and just bad, like not a lot of shots, not a lot of expected goals, and they rely on their elite shooters to be the difference in those games, and they pack the middle of the ice so that their opponents have to shoot from the outside. That being said, they have not had the puck a lot in these games. When they do, they don't really have much of a transition offense, so you have to rely on a cycle, which is difficult when you don't have the puck to cycle around. And in general, they have just not been scoring very much. And to go further on that, the Leafs' power play has been well documented as abysmal this season. Mark Savard is the worst coaching hire they have ever made at assistant in the Matthews era, at least. Every Flames fan warned us, and the Leafs didn't listen. Since Austin Matthews was drafted, these are the Leafs' power play rankings year over year. Second, 8th, 6th, 16th, bad. First, second, 7th. And this season so far, and it's going to go down after this game, 18th. A power play that features a 69 goal scorer, William Nylander, who might score 50, Mitch Marner, who might score 100 points this year, John Tavares, who is captain consistent in his whole career. He's on pace for like 40 goals. He'll probably score 35 and 70 points. And
The amulet.
I'll get to that. And Morgan Riley, who is having probably the worst season of his career so far. He has been truly horrific to watch. I need some amulets shipped ASAP for the rest of the Leafs core, because Tavares has been good this year. Max Domi has been unreal since he got the amulet, and no one else is good on the power play. So I need... Go ahead.
I think that Morgan Riley did not even save the season. I don't even think the amulet would be enough. I think he has to rename his child Amulet or something. But I don't know if Tessa would.
He might have to sacrifice his child to the amulet.
Okay.
I'm kidding, of course. But Morgan Riley, he's had very well documented problems defending in transition throughout his career. Gives way too much of a gap into the neutral zone. He's not very physical in front of his own net. He's just not very good defensively. We've known this. The problem is he has also not been good offensively this season. He has like 0.4 points per game, which is by far a career low. He's on pace for like 35 points this season. This is someone who's usually money in the bank for 55 to 60. And he's on pace.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Because the Canucks would really beg for somebody to do that, aside from Quinn Hughes, obviously.
Well, and the problem isn't just the points. The problem is no one on the Leafs blue line scores goals. Like currently, Riley has 5 somehow. I don't know how he has 5. That seems like a fabrication.
How many games did the blue line go without scoring? It was 26?
Yeah, something like that. So McCabe finally broke that. And OEL.
Yeah.
OEL is currently our second leading defenseman in points, and he has 15 in 42 games.
Yeah, sounds about right.
McCabe has 11 in 36. Tanev actually has more, or he has 13 in 42. Tanev is going to mess around and score, like, if he scores 30 points, he might be our second highest scoring defenseman this year.
That's hilarious.
So,
yeah. It's not his job.
No. And he's been great at his job. But tonight, the OEL and Tanev pair was fine. It wasn't good.
The West Coast Express. Sorry.
The West, yeah. Like, the Canucks legends just... I don't even know, man. I get so miserable talking about this team sometimes because they're just... And it's weird because Leaf fans have been so negative this season. and they've been winning, so it's kind of hard to criticize a team when they win. This is like
Mhm.
the peak Barry Trotz Islanders syndrome in the regular season, where it's like they look so bad, but they keep winning, so you can't really say like they're boring, but they win. But when they lose,
Yeah.
it makes the losses that much more frustrating because they're boring in their losses as well. So
Mhm.
it's just not been a good time at all, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
yeah, that's fair. That's kind of like, I mean, you talked about how the Leafs scoring since Berube came in has
Mhm.
gone down significantly as well, like, and how they're just playing boring hockey. I think that's the point where the Canucks are at too with Rick Tocchet because they're barely getting 20 shots a night.
Yeah.
Like in this economy, you can't be doing that.
So okay, so to shift this to the Canucks now, because I yapped about the Leafs for like 10 minutes. What
Valid.
what has been going wrong with the Canucks offense this season in terms of their stylistic, schematic, just strategy? Hello?
Oh, I
Oh, all right. My internet also decided to die because I have not had enough technology problems tonight.
okay.
But I think we're back. Are we back, people? I think we're back. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. So sorry, Kaya. I have to rewind this rant. The Canucks
All good.
offense. What's wrong with it?
Everything. Honestly, I think the problem is Rick Tocchet. I'm gonna be
Okay.
honest, people think that it isn't. People think it's like the Miller Pedersen thing. I feel like people are hyper fixating on that, to ignore how old man, tough, rough defense hockey, which I mean, I say defense hockey, they're barely doing that even. I think that's what's suppressing Canucks offense, not the fact that two grown men apparently don't like each other as much as they should. Like
So
I think the problem is Tocchet.
so what specific like what is Talkit like you talk about the big rough and tumble style. What kind of plays are they like in the offensive zone? Is it there are they relying too much on point shots? Are they not getting to the dangerous areas? Like what is going wrong when they have the puck?
I think it's really hard to narrow it down, honestly, because
Okay.
like they get to dangerous areas, but then they just put it like directly into the goalie's crest 95% of the time, or they're going wide the other 5%. I think getting shots from a point, it's usually from a defenseman from the blue line, happens a lot. The only one of them that can hit the net, though, is Hughes and occasionally Myers. Hronek, who, yes, is injured long term at the moment, he can't even do that all that often. He shoots, but like not going anywhere because he thinks he's Quinn Hughes and he's like, I don't know, Rasmus Ristolainen or something. I I genuinely don't know. I think they're not generating enough shots, and then when that's brought up, it always gets deflected as like, what was the stupid thing that came out today? It was like confidence can't be bought in a store. Like it was some dumb
Mm.
stuff like that that you would hear in like a sixth grade health class seminar about bullying or something like that. That was what Talkett said about the Canucks not producing enough offense. Like, sir, that's your job to teach them how to do that. Like, at this point, sir, dude, like, Richard, are you betting on the Canucks shot numbers? Do we need to do we need to call back 2006?
So
I
there's
don't
no
know, man.
plan, basically. He just doesn't have a
There's
plan.
no there's basically no plan. Like there's set plays, but they happen one in a million. The power play, when it does get set up, it's like they pass a lot, and it reminds me of like pure Travis Grade hockey, to be honest. They try and pass a lot to others, and it's like I get it, kind of important to try and find the lanes, but also you don't need to be handling that very much.
Looking for the perfect play instead of just getting it on net.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
I know a team who's like
Uh,
that.
yeah. Yeah, we're you and I aren't. Wait, what's the line? We aren't so different, you and I.
Yeah, the Leafs have been plagued for, especially in the playoffs. They always are like, we got to get the perfect shot, and it just always ends with nothing. And it just like
Yep.
it always leaves with fans yelling at the TV, just do something, try anything, shoot
Oh,
the puck.
like the game. So I went to a game last week, and it was against the Predators, and they had the Canucks lost. They got shut out 3-0, similar
Mm.
result from tonight. But uh they had a lot of shots, and I thought they were actually producing well for a little bit. Um, but yeah, I was still like yelling shoot at them because
Mm.
while they're trying to produce stuff, they're not actually getting anything in the net. Like I feel like Pocket needs to run a practice one day when it's literally just shooting at the net. Like that's all you need. Like it's back into like U5, like Timbits hockey. Like we need to go back to Timbits hockey in order for this team to actually learn how to play well.
So, would you move on from Talkit? Oh, just kidding.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I honestly like I'm not sure if the Canucks will somehow salvage the season playoffs. I still think they should end things with him for this after this season.
I don't know if the what kind of coaching candidates are even out there right now. Like, have you given any thought to who they should replace him with?
We were talking about Jay Woodcroft. That's how desperate it is.
He
Yeah,
is a coach. He is certainly a
he
coach.
is. He's one of the coaches of all time.
He's a more modern coach. You know what? If you're gonna still be bad, at least get someone who thinks for the next generation. And Woodcroft did a pretty good job of getting the Oilers' top guys up and running when he first got there. So, I mean, maybe I don't know if he has the capacity
Yeah,
to fix
pretty
them.
much. Yeah, no, I genuinely have no. Sorry, I'm just on the move right now.
Yeah, I can
Um,
see that. This is turning into
yeah,
a
hello.
vlog real quick.
We're going in vlog mode. Um,
Well,
where's the wrong thing? Okay, cool. Vlog mode over.
oh, okay.
Let's
No.
continue.
So let's say they okay, I guess here's the would you rather. Would you rather have Talkit fired mid-season and you just try to salvage whatever is left this season, or do you want to just limp to the end and just totally reset in the off season?
Limp to the end, totally reset in the off season. I think they've honestly, as a franchise, written off this year already. So,
Hmm.
like, might as well just get it over with, push through while you still can, and then reset in the summer.
All right, fair enough. But that's a lot of negative talk in that second period. So
I'm good at
let's
that.
I am too. So let's go to the third segment where, for at least the Canucks, I'm going to make this a little bit more positive. Before I do, though, just a reminder that if you want to support the Game Over Network, you can get some of our merch at thegameovernetwork.com. We have merch lines available for every Canadian market. So, again, that's at thegameovernetwork.com to go check that out. So, the Canucks, a lot of drama this season. I'm not going to talk about the source of the
Yes.
drama just yet, but a lot of drama. How desperately do they need a winning streak to
Um,
quiet some of the noise?
I think very, very badly. Because I think the noise is only there because of the team not winning.
Hmm.
Like, if we go back to the start of the season, when the Canucks were insane on the road, sure they weren't winning at home, but they made for it, they made up for it when they were playing away. No one was talking about this. But now all of a sudden that The Canucks can't pull off wins at home. They can't pull off wins away. They can't pull off even sustaining a lead. Like they score a goal and then completely sit back. I think that's probably the reasoning behind a lot of this kind of becoming the forefront of discussion because like there's no success being had, so it must be a problem that we thought that we had been over and done with 2 years ago.
Fair enough. Now, in saying that, the Canucks are obviously like there's a lot of season left to play. There's still half a season. As of now, the Canucks are in a playoff spot. So, what has to go right in the second half here, aside from just winning, because that's too easy? What what has to go right for the Canucks to maintain this playoff spot and actually be a threat to win a series in the spring here?
Um, hmm. I think get their D sorted out, potentially like adding, or like I don't know how you add and A B within the salary cap,
Hmm.
or just like I want to say add another puck moving defenseman, but we have Eric Brandstrom, we just don't use him. I
Hmm.
swear this has been two back-to-backs in a row, the last two like weekends where Brandstrom's been available, we just haven't played him in either game. Last week it was we had Thursday in Seattle, he didn't play. Friday at home against the Preds, he was warming up, but he didn't play. Tonight he was scratched. I'm pretty sure yesterday he didn't play. Like I know he's has some defensive issues. So does Tyler Myers. He makes 3 million and he's always so like I would take Susie out and put Brandstrom in. I don't care anymore. You need a puck mover on the blue line that's not Quinn Hughes because he's played like 30 minutes a night. Um, and then you also have, sorry.
So I'm just sorry. I just need to make sure I have this correct. So you have a young, skilled player that a coach is refusing to play because he likes his veterans too much. Are we sure
Yes.
you don't have Mike Babcock?
Oh God. I think in my mind, Rick Tocchet, because I feel like he's smaller in stature. He's got no hair. I think he's bald baby Babcock, is what I like to call him in my head to make myself feel better. That's what it feels like because he's also not allowing for Niels Höglander a lot of ice time.
Mm,
Like it is rare that he plays at least 10 minutes a game.
I love Hoglander, honestly.
Yeah, like sure, he hasn't scored in like 20 something, almost 30 games. At the same time, like
Small
you
details.
need to be on the ice to score.
Yeah.
And he gets into small areas. He's able to do that. Like he's feisty. Yeah, I don't know what Rocket's gripe with him is,
Who
but
are Hoglander's most common line mates?
that's a loaded question because
Oh,
there's well no, because they just keep just throwing stuff together. They throw spaghetti at a wall and hope it sticks, pretty much. Like they really only keep Besser and Miller together at this point. Like I feel like it's
so
constantly
too much juggling.
too much juggling. Yeah, definitely. Because tonight, I think the fourth line was Phil Giuseppe, Jonathan Lekarimäki, and who was the suitor? No, it was Teddy Bluger. Teddy Bluger
Wow.
was the center on that line.
Two out of three of
So
those are
yeah,
should be on the all best names line, but
I think 3 for 3, honestly. Phil
Teddy Bluger.
Giuseppe, Jonathan Lekarimäki, Teddy Bluger,
Yeah,
just
honestly,
kiss.
I have Teddy Bluger gave me PTSD when he was with the Penguins because he randomly scored a hat trick against the Leafs in like his rookie season or something. We're very good at giving other teams memorable moments.
Yeah, it's like when Matthews scored 4 in his first game and then you guys lost.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we do that a lot. The Leafs some of the best Matthews goals in his career have all come in losses. They're very good at wasting good Austin Matthews games. It's like borderline historic. Like, could you imagine if the Capitals were this good at wasting Ovechkin games?
Yeah, I feel like that was the last few years, to be honest.
Well,
Um,
I guess most of their
not
playoffs,
not this year, not this year. Most of their playoffs, yeah, definitely.
second round
You
woes.
could say, oh, Crosby as
Mm.
well. Um, what else? Who else am I thinking of? Oh yeah, wasting goals. Jonathan Lekary every time he scores, the Canucks lose, and it's always like an absolute horrible loss too. Like here, let me, because I think his first career goal was the game we lost against the Islanders, like 6-2 at home.
Oh my lord.
Um, let me just, where the hell is it? No, I don't want that open.
Because we have a few of those fun ones too. Like Nick Robertson, his first career goal came in a playoff game in the 2025 round bubble series. He scored a goal to make it 3-0 against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Blue Jackets came back and won in overtime to take a 2-1 series lead.
Oh my God.
That
That's
was a
iconic.
Dubois hat trick game.
Yeah, we got Dubois the other night.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he scored both goals against us in a
Oh
2-1
no.
Canucks. Yeah, and the only goal we scored was on the power play.
Wait, there was a multi-goal Dubois game in the year of our Lord 2025? This is
You couldn't,
amazing.
he scored the overtime winner and the first goal, and you could not. I was at the PWHL game that night, and people are
You,
watching it, like everything come through, and it's just like, wow. So then I got to go watch real hockey when Montreal showed
yeah,
up. Montreal
you
Victoire, so
you made a great decision that night. That's almost as
yeah.
impressive as the Leafs giving up a hat trick to Jordan Stahl on Thursday.
Yeah. Um, so okay, I found it. Yeah. The Canucks, so Jonathan Lekary has played, he's scored twice in his NHL career. He's only played 8 games. So
Hmm.
I mean pretty good. His first was in a 5-2 loss at home against the New York Islanders. Um, and it was the first goal of the game, and the Canucks let the Islanders score five, or Tyler Myers got one in the last like 90 seconds, which is insane. It was his first of the season. Only scored 2 goals
Shout out
um
Tyler Myers.
this season. Shout out Tyler Myers, my G. And then it was last week in the Bell Center in Montreal.
Hmm.
He scored Vancouver's third goal to put them up 3-1, and the Canucks ended up losing 5-4 in overtime.
Yeah, the Habs are the Habs are going to cost me money. I made a bet with my partner's father like 2 months ago that I bet him 20. He was like, "I bet you the Habs are going to make the playoffs." I'm like, "There's no way. There's no way in hell." And then suddenly Patrick Laine comes back, and they are the best team in the league. I guess
It's insane,
pure vibes.
honestly. The East is so Columbus is in a playoff spot.
Oh
What?
yeah. Whoa, you have no idea how mid the East is right now.
This is like I thought the West was mid because a lot of the like playoff spot has just been no after you. No, I insist you take this.
Welcome
Like
to the
it's
East.
just the East is like it's like everyone is fighting for one spot and then Buffalo. Um oh my God, there's only 10 points between Boston and Buffalo in the wild card.
Yeah. Montreal is only 3 points back of Boston with 3 games in hand. The which,
I've
by the
been
way, Bruins' downfall is happening.
Oh yeah, I have been preying on their downfall since I was 8 years old, and I'm so excited that it's finally happening. Um,
I've been right there.
Sorry, Bruins fans.
Obviously, I've also been right there with you. Like this is our common
Yeah.
enemy.
Yes, exactly, exactly. I
Although
mean,
I do have to ruin it for a second though. Back in the Cup final, I was a big Tim Thomas guy at the time, and I hated Roberto Luongo.
I'm sure mattress factories were also big Tim Thomas guys, considering they made his pads. Anyway, um, sorry,
Don't worry.
that
I
was fun.
learned I learned from my mistakes, and I will never commit a sin so great as cheering for the Bruins again.
Thank you. Thank you. You have
Because
repented.
that was a dark time. To be fair, I wasn't much of a hockey fan back then. I was a child. Like,
Yeah, versus like Vancouver here, like all the Boston pizzas were renamed.
yeah.
That was a thing that happened. They were all renamed. I remember there was a gift card. I was in third grade, and there was a gift card or whatever in a contest, and it was announced on our announcements in elementary school. And they're just like, "Oh yeah, you could win a gift card to Vancouver Pizza." I was like, "What the hell are we doing, guys?" And then we lost, so that was fun.
Is what it is. But yeah, like I said, I cheered for the Bruins. I was 9 years old, I think. Like, I it was a different time. It was a different time. And then I grew up and became
Hmm.
a Leafs fan, and it was the worst. I made worse decisions after that.
Well, you know what? I've made a worse decision. I'm a Canucks fan, and I decided to also like the New York Rangers.
Yeah, at least the Rangers gave you
Hmm.
some conference final appearances. At least the Canucks
True.
gave you a cup final appearance.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
I have one series win in my basic like in 2004 when the Leafs won that series. I was 2 years old. So for all
Mhm.
intents and purposes, the Leafs have won one series in my entire life, and it they've made the playoffs every year for the last like 9 years. I've won
Yeah,
series.
yeah, they're kind of it's funny. I remember when they won that series because it was April 29th, which is part of a Taylor Swift song. And so I made a TikTok about that, and then they actually went and won the game. Um, that was a fun time though. Yeah, and then you guys lost in five against Florida, so
Mhm.
sorry to remind you.
I whew. It's funny that they finally win like every year there's one thing that we know for sure. It's that the Leafs will lose in 7 games. Because for better or worse, the Leafs curse is they will always give you hope and always be competitive. Except that Florida series. They finally win and then just instantly smacked. Yeah. Anyways, wow. Really tried to be positive this segment. This has gone.
It's you know what? We all deserve therapy after being hockey fans for so long, so.
True, true. And I mean, to be fair, y'all are both aging me badly from Avery over a game over Edmonton. I'm sorry, Avery. I don't know. It is funny because even as a young 20, like an early 20s, I still look at like college football, for example, and I'm like, wow, these 18-year-olds are so good. I'm like, they're 18? Oh no.
That's what it was like when I found out Macklin Celebrini was 10 in 2016. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
an '06 baby?
He's an '06 baby. It hurt my feelings. I remember
Hmm.
2006.
I probably would remember something from 2006. I don't know.
No,
Like,
I have vivid memories from 2006.
oh man.
I yeah,
All
I
right.
was
Well,
friends with my neighbor's nieces or something. I ate a Barbie shoe too. That's also what I remember from that era.
I'm pretty sure I squished myself with a mattress. I was an active child.
Macklin is too young to remember when the NHL didn't have Vegas in it. I feel like he's old enough to remember. I remember the Atlanta Thrashers.
Yeah. Hey, I remember buying NHL games on pay per view.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
My father and because I grew up in Calgary, right? So I grew up a Flames fan when I was a young lad, and my father and I used to buy pay per view Flames games, and we even went to the movie theater once to watch a pay per view Flames game.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, that's actually pretty sick. I just I wasn't allowed to watch past the second period because my yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch past the second period because it was my bedtime, right? I was a
yeah.
child. So I would read about it the next morning in
Mm.
the Vancouver Sun, the newspaper. Like, any normal
Child, yeah.
7, 8, 9-year-old. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just, regular things.
Well, you know what? You didn't grow up on social media, so you're better off than Celebrini, probably.
Oh,
Aside from the fact that
yeah.
he's in the NHL. That's slightly good.
Okay, well, the NHL just didn't keep me in. Just didn't let me in because they couldn't handle my talent. So.
Fair. Yeah, honestly, like I made all these kind of plays. The cameras just weren't on. So
Yeah, they're scared of me. They're scared of what I can do.
now, before this gets too off the rails, let's go into our final segment here. At this time, chat, this is where if anyone has any Leafs or Canucks questions, please feel free to throw them down below. A reminder to hit that like button and subscribe to both Game Over Toronto and Game Over Vancouver as well. I know you have to do a little bit more work for that second one. Then go over, find them on YouTube as well. Also, a reminder to check out the Game Over Network's flagship show, Hyperdrive Hockey. It runs on Tuesdays and Fridays. You can find it at Hyperdrive Hockey wherever you get your podcasts or on the Game Over Network's Hub YouTube channel. Now, to start this off, Kaja, I need a brief, as brief as you can. JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. Just for all the Toronto fans that might not know, what is happening here as quick, like a 60-second summary.
Okay, so 60-second summary. Basically, so Pedersen and Miller kind of had the same. Well, they didn't have the same debut year. Elias Pettersson's first year in the NHL was 18-19. JT Miller got traded in the 2019 offseason to Vancouver. They've played together for years. Apparently, there's rumors of JT and Pedersen getting like not. I mean, they weren't as amicable as you would hope that teammates would be. Um, this was back 2022 when the Canucks. This was after the Bruce There It Is aura kind of faded, and it was when Rick Tocchet was getting hired as the coach before Bruce Boudreau had even packed up his wherever he lived in Vancouver. Um, that whole saga going on. Um, it's kind of like, yeah, Petey and Miller, they don't like each other. They don't like each other. And it was kind of like something that just kind of got brushed under the rug. It was one of the things of, oh, do we trade Miller? Because this was also, they signed Miller to his huge
Yeah.
contract for $56 million over Captain Bo Horvat, and that was also kind of an issue. And just like, do people see that? Like, is it split in the locker room between Horvat and Miller? And then they traded Horvat, and they're like, is it Miller and Petey? But when it became clear they're trading Horvat, it's like, is it Miller or Petey? And then the next season they win a lot. They win 50 games, which is insane to think about looking at the team now. Um, yeah, they were top of the league at Christmas. They were basically doing everything right. They get to the second round, they get to game 7 against the Oilers, and everyone kind of forgets about it. And then this year starts. They're winning on the road, but they're not winning at home. And it was during a practice or something. Apparently, Miller and Pettersson got into it for a little bit. Not sure if it was just jawing at each other or whatever. This kind of gets forgotten for about a month or two, and then it starts to bubble back up again when the Canucks are really struggling now. And now it's basically everything you hear about. Talkett and Quinn Hughes, the captain of the team, kind of mentioned that there was some sort of rift, but they were working on it, whereas Miller and Pettersson both said that there was no rift. And then there are also former players in Brad Richardson, who was with the Canucks very briefly a few years ago, who apparently told JT Miller that he was being too hard on Elias Pettersson. I don't know. I wasn't there. Um, and also Bruce Boudreau mentioning in a previous interview that there was a bit of a rift at the time he left, where he thought that they were working through it. I just think they need to get to winning again, to not hate each other. I don't want to use hate because, like, I'm not in their heads. I'm not their marriage counselor. I don't want to, like,
They
diagnose this
certainly
issue
need
with
one.
anything.
They do
They
need a marriage
certainly need
counselor.
one.
Couples
No, at
counseling,
this
please.
point, I'm like, go to couples counseling. Like, go to couples counseling. Go to, like, the Burning Man or something. figure out what y'all are doing because they're both locked up on long-term contracts, and excuse my French, I'd be a bitch to move either of them, honestly. Like, I know a lot of teams would love that, but also what would we be getting back if we're in win now mode? Some people are like, oh, Petey's the drama queen, Petey's the problem, and I'm just like, he's been constantly under scrutiny his entire career because he's been a Vancouver Canuck. And,
Mm.
he used social media, so obviously he's the devil. I think there's more, if you're trading one, I think you have to trade Miller because there's more risk than reward in trading Patterson, who's still young, who's still moving through the peaks of his career, whereas Miller is about hitting the part where he's about to plateau and then drop off, right? That was the risk of his long-term contract anyway. This was like the hesitation behind signing him in the first place. And
Hmm.
now there's all this BS going on. I honestly don't think it's necessary to trade either of them because you're also probably going to have to retain some salary, and they already have the buyout from OEL going up
That's
next year.
still a thing. Oh man.
That's still it's going to be a thing for a while. But yeah, so I don't think the solution is trading either of them. I think the solution is remembering that they're both grown ass men. Like this isn't what are you gonna do? Like, are you going to go talk to their parents? Like, if this okay, I know I just said they're grown ass men, but put this in the situation of like a kindergarten classroom.
Hmm.
And you're two kindergartners and they're fighting. And you're just starting it real quick. And let's say talk as the teacher. What should the teacher do in that situation if these kids are obviously being cruel to each other? Probably stop it in its tracks. A lot of teachers of mine did not do that. This is how I became like this. But with these two, like I think talk is just being very passive,
Mm.
to be
He's
honest.
taken the
With
work your shit out on the playground approach.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like I'm not dealing with this. Like I think that's the mentality with it. And like if you were a teacher, teachers already have to go through a lot for not great pay, which pay your teachers better, governments, which is a whole other issue in itself. I would understand that point. Rick Tocchet
Not for
gets
this
paid
show.
probably
Yeah.
not Rick Tocchet gets paid probably millions of dollars to
Hmm.
what stand in some skates at practice and make them skate from one end of the ice to the other because you're not working on the power play. You're sure the penalty he kills all right, but like that's not really your specialty. It's like your assistant coaches to do that. You're not working on goaltending because you have a goaltending department. So what are you really doing, Talkett? Just shaving your head in the back dressing room? Like, sorry, that went in a whole anti-Talkett rant.
Is
That's honestly what my
hey,
thought process right
here's a
now.
better question. Who's a worse coach, Rick Tocchet or Dave Cameron from the World Juniors?
No, no, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's just I mean, we're gonna find out because Rick Tocchet is one of the coaches for Team Canada for the Four Nations face-off. So,
Oh no. Oh no, dude.
I mean, Canada was already screwed over. So, because we have no goalies, we developed a lot of goalies in like
My
the early
glorious
2000s,
country has fallen so far.
and then just did not do anything for the 2010s. And now some of the younger goalies are coming up and they're doing pretty good. Like that's the only reason that Canada even won those games in the World Juniors that they did. Um, But yeah, the 2010s were a dark era for Canucks, Canadian goaltending, but
Now
also
it's
for
just a
Canucks
dark
goaltending.
era for Canadian
Jesus.
hockey in general.
Oh my God, yeah. Um,
We let the states take our game, man.
no, it's like because a lot of teams in Canada have their decade of darkness, and I feel like
Hmm.
it all happened in the 2010s.
Damn,
Edmonton,
decade.
okay, I'm gonna say like because Edmonton they had when they consistently lost, and then
First overall picks
would get the
forever.
first overall picks.
Yep.
Um, and the Leafs,
Century.
um, the Canucks were good to start the 2010s, but everyone hated
Yep.
them. And then they lost the cup. They go out in the first round the next year against LA. And then it was just kind of horrible. We made the playoffs made the playoffs in 2013, or did we? No, I think we missed.
I
I might be
remember
wrong.
you made them in 2015 and lost to the Flames.
Yes. Yeah, in the first round, that was a fluke. And then we ended up drafting Brock Besser anyway, so it was completely fine. Yeah, that was a fluke. And yeah, but that was the last time we made the playoffs with the Sedins. The Sedins
Yeah.
retire. We're getting high draft picks and we're going 50-50 on them. It was we had a worse track record of drafting in the mid 2010s than the Edmonton Oilers did with picking first overalls. Because a lot of their first overalls have become NHL players, just not with their organization. There is some exceptions. But um with the Canucks, it's just like we could have had William Nylander in
Yes, you could
2014.
have.
We could have had Matthew Tkachuk a couple years like or in 2016. And I still think about that. It keeps me up at night to this day.
Shout out Oli Levy, man.
Shout out Ole Levy. Shout out the Canadian criminal justice system because it doesn't exist. Um and or
Shout
no,
out.
Canadian,
Well,
yeah,
more
whatever.
kind of
It
more
does
so
exist, but
shout
okay.
out a bunch of criminals for fleeing the country before their cases could go to trial.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess he did that too. And then he came back and then he got let off. That's a whole other issue.
Yeah,
Um yeah, and then we drafted and it was Pedersen,
much better.
Hughes, but Colson, who was all right with Canucks. He scored a goal tonight for Edmonton. Good for him.
I
Um,
want- Was it what year did the Canucks hire Benning?
Jim
Because
Benning,
yeah.
2014. 2014 was his first draft.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna say like the reputation Benning had into the late 2010s and like early 2020s was that he was a terrible GM, but he was a decent scout at least. I didn't realize he also had the misses in his first few years. So never mind. Point.
His first few years, and then later on, like I think one of the biggest misses was the trade. Oh, what year was that? That sent our first rounder to. Oh, sorry. The trade that sent our first rounder away. That ended up being Dylan Gunther.
Oh,
I think I
oh
think
man.
that was the OEL Garland trade in 2021. That was Benning's, I think, last big hurrah. But yeah, let Markstrom walk, let Toffoli walk, let Tanev walk, let Stetcher walk. He let so many players just leave.
Oh man. Yeah. Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to deal with that era because you know what? For all the trauma the Leafs have given me, at least we have playoffs appearances regularly.
Yeah, yeah, and oh yeah, because the Canucks made the playoffs for the fluke. They get in the bubble playoffs and they do
Yep.
nothing. I mean, they get 2 rounds, but also that wasn't really at home and it was a weird time anyway.
Better than
No, I was
us.
just gonna say we also have never had, as a franchise, never had a first overall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the expansion draft, when the Canucks joined the league in 1970 along with the Sabres, Sabres got first overall. And
Man.
Vancouver was consistently shafted when it came to selecting an expansion franchise. I did a whole paper on this, but yeah,
Oh, you did a paper on it?
I did a paper on it.
That's
Yes.
amazing. Did it get an A?
I think so.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, what kind of class could you write a paper on the Canucks for?
History of Vancouver.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the end of it was like how professional hockey evolved into the NHL eventually coming here. That was kind of just, but yeah, very interesting history.
Huh. The more you know. Well, aside from that, chat again. If you have any questions before we wrap up the show, Kaja, do you have any questions about the Leafs before we wrap up the show?
What happened to Matt Murray? Is he still playing? Because I know he
He's
was mentioned earlier.
Oh
Because I
yeah.
thought, did he play this year?
So he has played this year. He's been bad, but
Okay.
essentially last year he was just being rebuilt. He was in the shop,
Mhm.
had to get some work done. This year, he was re-signed to be the third goalie. And then the problem was there was minor injuries to Joseph Woll at the start of the season, so they didn't want to risk losing him on waivers. So they called up Dennis
Mhm.
Hildeby, who
Mhm.
did fine. And then when Stolarz went out long term, they've been playing this weird game with Murray where they're calling him up and setting him down so that he doesn't hit the games played requirements, so that he doesn't have his waivers reactivated when they send him down.
Mhm.
But when he has played, he's been bad. So uh Hildeby's just the third goalie now. He kind of usurped him on the depth chart.
That's yeah, that's kind of insane to think about too, because you know, Pittsburgh.
Matt Murray had the greatest rookie season of all time, winning 2 cups in his rookie season, basically.
Oh, 889 and 871 through 2 games.
Yay.
That's not good.
And the one in Buffalo, I think it was he allowed 3 goals, I think, that game officially, but he also had 2 goals that were called back on review. One was
Oh,
one was an offside, and one was a goalie interference that wasn't really goalie interference. It was really ticky tacky. So those stats should have been worse, and the Leafs should have lost that game probably.
okay. Good to know. Apparently he
Yeah.
has 3 shots against the Canucks. I'm assuming they were all with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe assumption.
Because yeah, I mean, it could have been 2021 Canucks when he was with the Sens, because the Canucks were god awful that
Hmm.
year. So, thank you,
Yeah.
Adam Gaudette, for that.
But yeah, 20% of Matt Murray's shutouts have been against the Canucks.
Ooh, damn.
I don't. He's a Canuck assassin apparently.
He looks like he looks like Sean Gunn's character on Gilmore Girls.
He also looks like he's 100 years old right now. Like,
He looks like he'd be a storyline character in GTA 5.
yeah, he looks like he did a lot of Trevor Phillips' product in that game. A lot of meth and made in San Andreas, and that's what he looks like.
So, okay, I got Trevor Phillips confused with Trevor Lewis for a second, and I was just like, I was like,
Trevor Lewis,
what does Trevor Lewis look like then? I was like, am I missing lore? No.
no, no, no. But no, oh man, GTFO. Hey, there are I can't believe that GTA 6 is still like 2 years away or
Isn't
like a
it
year
this
away.
year?
I thought it was 2026 at least.
Wait. Okay, for streamers, I am looking at when GTA 6 releases. Late 2025.
Oh, much better.
I'm
Never
finishing
mind.
Call of before GTA 6 comes out. Let's go.
We might actually get GTA 6 this year. I hope it doesn't get delayed, but they might, because I don't know. Rockstar has this tendency to make sure their games are perfect, which good job
I
on that.
mean, yeah, no, like, don't release a game when it's not ready.
Like Red Dead 2
I've
is
played a,
one of the best games ever made to me, so
I haven't. I've not played it yet.
oh,
I play a lot of Star Wars games, so I know
mm,
all too well about games being released when they're not done.
yeah, that's a different conversation. Again,
That's
a lot of topics probably not for this show.
that's another paper I'm writing.
A Star Wars one? Okay, I'll have to ask you about that
Star Wars video
offline.
games.
All right. Well, before we make this another 3 hours talking about video games, I think that's where we are going to sign off for the evening on this hockey stream about a simple game between the Leafs and Canucks. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. I know that it was a bit of an adventure with this stream, but thank you for bearing with us. Remember to subscribe to Game Over Toronto and Game Over Vancouver, like the stream, and give us a follow if you're listening on podcasting platforms, and leave us a review as well. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at ZachPayne41. Kaja, where can the people find you?
Just look up Kaja May on pretty much everything. I'm there. On YouTube, you can find my video about that Canucks paper that I wrote. That like the video is just about the Pacific Coliseum. So if you're interested in that, there's that. But yeah, kind of made pretty much on everything.
So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.